We are live. It's Empire State of Baseball for episode number 50 on this Monday, June the 19th, 2023. We're airing live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And as always, for these last 50 episodes, powered by StreamYard. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've made it to the 50th edition of Empire State of Baseball. This is a milestone edition of our program. Khoury and Tom, you're there for episode number 1. You've been here for the majority of our 50 episodes, unlike Joseph, who was missing for tonight's podcast. How you guys feeling on this milestone achievement?
Do you hear that?
I got to tell you what, 50 episodes, I'm doing one a week. 50 episodes, it's a great milestone. I'm happy for it. And I hope to have another 250 plus, maybe 50,000 if everything goes right. But I enjoyed every Monday here with you all and with all of our
50,000. There's 1,000. How old do you think you're going to live to?
We're going to be doing this until
50,000. We better have John Sterling just rolled in as our guest, just like an old
John Sterling will be
John Sterling.
John Sterling will be old as like, I don't know, something old, like be older than like, God, I'm
older.
Really bad.
Old as death. Thomas, how we doing today?
We're doing good. I was saying, do you guys hear that? It's a nice sound of silence. Not good for radio or good for podcasting, but no Joe. So, it's kind of nice, a little chiller vibe to go along with our chilly, terrible baseball teams. But yeah, doing well.
Yeah, you would think this guy would show up for the 50th edition of our show here
you
today.
Would think so.
It's a rare occasion where we kind of get some time back here. We don't have to talk as fast. We don't have to, mute ourselves, to get Joe in and, just listen for him going on for 10 minutes straight. But we're here now. And Khoury representing the Mets by himself today. Khoury, I know we're going to get into the Empire Express and really just about eulogize the Mets and Yankees seasons. But how we doing here, man?
From a New York Mets fan standpoint, it is kind of terrible that it's June 19th today, and the Mets right now are completely lifeless. And this is a time of the year where normally, even if you have your team's you're still 500, you're still thinking of the season ahead. But the last 2 weeks have just been absolutely miserable from a Mets fan standpoint. Not just losing games, but the way they're losing some of these games. I look at the Braves series. I look at the first game versus the Yankees. They almost did it the second game versus the Yankees too, where these games, they're winning, and they're winning late. And it's not like, they're up 1-0 the whole game, and the bullpen gives up a 2-run shot late. They're 3-run, 4-run, 5-run leads, and you're at that point in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning with these leads, and you're constantly blowing these games. That's the part that's just very disheartening, and it almost feels like a waste of time now watching it. And I love watching the Mets. Don't get me wrong. I watch more games than not, but when you see that amount of losses that are just completely disheartening, wrecked games, it almost makes me say, why am I wasting my time watching this team right now? And there was actually a couple of games last weekend. I can tell you, I really didn't watch a single inning of Mets baseball this last weekend. Thankfully, I had some plans in there too. But even the days I didn't, I said to myself, why am I going to waste this? It was a Sunday afternoon. It was actually a close game at one point. I'm like, it's a beautiful day. I want to go outside. I want to go in the pool, have a nice cold beer in the great outdoors, not sit behind a TV and watch this team blow it. And sure enough, they lost. So ended up saving some time there. It's a miserable time right now to be a Mets fan. I know for the Yankee fans, not much better. At least with your team, it is an above 500 team. But both teams, I mean, the amount of games back in the divisions, at least the Yankees right now are the third wild card. At this point, the Mets would be very lucky. I think their actual playoff percentage right now is only in the 20s or 30s to even make the playoffs. So it's a better time to be a Yankee fan, but not a good time.
Thomas, are the feelings mutual? Have you been missing a lot of Yankee games on purpose as of late?
I was gonna say I watched a total of 5 minutes of Yankee baseball against the Red Sox this over the weekend. Watched a lot of U.S. Open. Really was into that. Watching a ton of the golf, especially on the West Coast, so the golf was on late. At one point Friday, I fired up the tablet. It was plan to have the U.S. Open on the big screen, tablet on my lap, and just kind of go back and forth through that a lot. And the Yankees went down like 5-0 or 4-1 or whatever it was. They went down early to Boston. I'm like, you know what? I want no part of this. I don't want to watch it. I watched nothing of it on Sunday. I refused to. They played 2 terrible games, and I couldn't do it. It's the Yankees just they don't care. They seem like they just don't care right now. Rich and I, hopefully some of you watched. We went live on Instagram. I went live for both Yankee Met games last week in the 9th inning, and when the Yankees brought in Albert Abreu in the second game, where there was guys who should have been available, I said to Rich, like, they're not trying to win. Now Albert Abreu actually looking good, and then they brought in what's his name, Ramirez, and he gave it up, which didn't make sense. Rich and I really got on the Yankees for that decision, but like they don't seem like they want to win. It's tough. It's tough. It really just feels like they're waiting for Aaron Judge to come back. And until then, they're just going to be like, we're just bad.
I'm going to hold that point for a second because I had a great Judge follow-up for you. But before we get there, I just wanted to go through the lineup card real quick. We're going to continue this Yankee Met debauchery on the Empire Express as we are, it's just not worth just having a separate segment to bash on the Yankees and a separate segment to bash on the Mets. So let's combine them both. We'll bash on the teams together as New York faithful should. Next, we got Chooch's pick of the week. So we're going to hear from Matt about his picks. There is a local pick in there. We're going to find out in a little bit. The triple play makes a return. And obviously, we have the 3 of us here. And the 3 of us are going to get into Father's Day and baseball topics alike. What's the greatest duo in baseball history? What's your favorite father-son activity in terms of baseball? We'll talk more about that later on tonight. And then Andrew Khoury, also known as Core, joins us again for Core Curriculum, one of our favorite game segments here on ESB. Poor Joe built up a nice little comeback on me there, and now he's not even here to try to build some momentum, get over your boy. But Tom and Khoury are going to try to make their ways up the ranks today. So Core will be back here for Core Curriculum. So, as I said, let's get going with the Empire Express, even though this train is already taken off. Yankees or Mets? I don't even know where we want to start here. I guess we'll go with we'll start with the Yanks here. 4-8 since Aaron Judge went down with the injury, which was back on June 3rd. The Yankees are still in 3rd place since the last time we did this show. In the AL East, they're 10.5 games back with a 39-33 record. I saw up a graphic today that the Yankees, the Astros, and the Dodgers all have 39-33 records, which I thought was interesting, knowing that those 3 teams are just underperforming. Those teams are better than what they're putting out there. Before the Yankees, I'm gonna bash on them. And the last time I gave them a nice bashing, they went on a nice little win streak. So let's hope for the same here. For the Yankees, guys, I did this River Ave rewind last night, and I'll be honest, I did a few different variations of this River Ave rewind because I had so much to say, and I just didn't have enough time but 1 minute to concise my thoughts on this Yankees team. I'll start here. Aaron Judge is clearly the core of this team, and he is the offense. And at times, I cannot get mad at the lineup that they put out there when guys are hurt, especially Judge. Bader's on the way back. But are you really telling me that this Yankee team can't beat below 500 or last place teams? Because that's who this team has faced over these last few weeks. The Yankees haven't faced the Astros and the Twins again. They haven't faced the Texas Rangers, although they're going to face them later on this week. They face below the pack teams. And you still can't win with a healthy Anthony Rizzo, LeMahieu, Giancarlo Stanton. This team is just a bad team, Thomas. It's no longer a team that's just given a bad hand and it's another season of injuries, because we've seen this team in the past lose significant players and still put up a 100-win season with what they still had. I don't know what's happening in the Bronx, and I don't know what it's going to take to wake up some of these core players that I just mentioned before, but I will tell you, I cannot put the earnest on Aaron Boone, The fans are trying to find somebody to blame. I can't blame the manager here. Tom, what do you got on this one?
The Yankees feel like the Toon Squad when Jordan was gone and they were just terrible. And then they found Mike's secret stuff and then they got better. And then Michael came back. I feel like they need to find Aaron Judge's secret stuff or something because they look lost without him. They look uninspired. And then even from like a top down perspective, like I was saying, that second game against the Mets, like they could have won that game and they punted and they didn't use their good relievers. They had an off day coming up because they wanted to save him for Boston, but it didn't matter. Win the games when you can. I don't know. Just without Judge, everything is worse. The defense is worse. The offense is significantly worse, and it just feels like it's a ripple effect. Judge provides it for as much as a lot of times we talk about like, oh, Stanton and Rizzo give protection to Judge in the lineup. It's like Judge gives protection to everyone, and it just without him, they seem just like lifeless. It's not fun to watch.
Pitcher's approach is completely different when someone's preceding Aaron Judge in the lineup because you know that player is going to get a lot of pitches to hit. And luckily, and I bashed on Glaber a little bit more on his defense end. Torres has actually been one of the players who's hit over the last couple of weeks, unlike most of the lineup. But yeah, when Judge is in that lineup, a lot of batters, especially the ones that are closest to him, are better in that batting order. But again, these are major league players that we've seen at the best of their ability over the last few weeks. And Khoury, we'll throw it back to the Mets in a bit, but this kind of is parallel to the Mets struggles. You simply have good players that are not playing to the back of their baseball card. And since it's been contagious throughout the Yankee lineup, you're not going to score more than 3 runs a game. And that's what the Yankees have proven over the last few weeks.
Yeah, no, for sure. And with Judge especially, too. And this is why, in my opinion at least, he is the MVP of baseball, all right? If I was going to draft an MLB team from scratch, we're starting a franchise, every player is up for the draft, I don't think there's much debate. Ohtani's probably going to be the most commonly picked number 1, as he would be mine. But the difference between Ohtani and Judge, Ohtani and the Angels, they haven't done anything in all the years Ohtani's been there.
And Trout.
And Trout, too, which is crazy because you got 2 generational talents and you've gone nowhere. Look at the Yankees, though, with and without Judge. Absolutely night and day difference. And when we had the show about a month ago where Rich went on the rant, that's when Judge was out for the first time this season. The Yankees were struggling. What happens? Judge comes back, and all of a sudden that team went on an absolute tear. He gets hurt, and now it's the opposite again. It's the same exact script from just over a month ago when we had that last show where Judge was hurt for the first time around. So that's why, to me, Judge is the MVP of baseball because there really is no individual player more valuable to their team right now than Aaron Judge is to the Yankees. And that's not to say he is the best overall player in the league. I still think that's Ohtani, but Judge is the most valuable because this team is completely different without him.
I agree. And listen, got bad news for any Yankee fans out there. This isn't getting better until he gets back. The Yankees are going to stay this middling, sad watch until he gets back. And we don't even know when that's going to be. The Yankees at least haven't announced when that's going to be yet. Sounds like the report on his toe keeps getting worse. There was one ligament or whatever, tendon, and another one is not feeling great. I think we're in for this. I think for at least another month. I really don't see him coming back before the All-Star break. It could be even much after that, and nothing will happen until then. The pitching has been like pretty good. They weren't great in Boston, but they're doing what they can. But the offense can't score without him, so there's almost no point in watching.
Not a case that the prognosis isn't looking good. There's just a lack of information being shared by the team to PR to the fans, which is a typical Yankee move. We've seen this in the past, especially with guys like Luis Severino, that there's a lot of downplay on injuries initially. And I kind of don't understand that because is there a real difference in telling the fans today that Judge is going to be lost to the All-Star break or waiting 2 weeks to tell them, oh, he's going to be gone for just another 2 weeks?
I know the one issue they have is they don't want to say he should be back by the All-Star break and then he's not. And then people worry that if he's had a setback. So I understand some of that, but it's the Yankees, what they've been doing forever. I don't know how many times we have to go over just the organizational like philosophy and just outlook. It's getting worse and just more and more. I feel like, and I don't blame Aaron Boone for this either, but and it's not going to happen. So I don't know why I mentioned it. The Yankees just need to clear. I think they need to clean house. They need like cash. Everything needs to go, and not because like they're terrible. It's just because like it's just getting worse. It's like a disease that keeps growing in that front office and between the medical. I would like everyone to go. Everyone leaves and let's start fresh because this isn't working.
Yeah, you can't keep putting band-aids on an infection. You got to actually treat the infection.
It's just sad. They had the opportunity. They had the golden opportunity to make significant moves and change the direction of the franchise. And honestly, listen, if they would have went about last fall, not renewing Boone's contract, not renewing Cashman's contract, and going in two completely directions, even if it meant the worst for the Yankees, at least there's going to be some kind of, that the Yankees are just not going to take being a last place team for a season. They're going to find a way to make their way back. But when you have the same guys in house and you're still a middling team, you have teams that have surpassed you. When we always thought over the last couple of years, the only hump that's outside, the only external hump the Yankees have to get to be a World Series team is the Astros. Guess what? There are more teams now that have surpassed the Yankees, including the Astros. There are so many teams now that are just much better. Look at Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers, complete 180 from what they looked like last year. They're a much better team.
And they lost to Grom.
Did they ever have DeGrom? Does anyone ever have DeGrom?
Also,
I think the reality is, though, even if Cashman was gone in the offseason, it wouldn't have mattered much because the Yankees have so many guys on the books, and at least unless Hal is gonna write a $300 or $400 million check and just clear all the dead weight off this team, it wouldn't matter. At this point, Cashman should just stick around until we get past the Stanton contract and Rizzo and DJ. And then you bring a new GM in. Because if you bring one in now, there's not a lot you could do. We've talked about left field. Okay, you could try to get a left fielder. But other than that, these guys, like they're going to be here. They make too much. They're on the hook for too much money for too long. It's not just like a one-year deal for a lot of them. They're stuck with them. This is what we got.
Well,
let's give it the Yankees.
This is not Savages in the Bronx plus Khoury. We are going to talk New York Mets now. So let's get into the Mets as well here. 8-15 of their last 23 games, 3-11 in their last 14. Oh, good God. 12.5 back, fourth in the NL East with a 33-38 record. So 5 games below 500. I mean, Khoury, I don't even know. At some point, I look at Mets Twitter and it's fire Buck, fire Epler. There's not a lot of earnest on the players. There's a lot of like, okay, Vogelback's got to go, and any player that we can ship out, that's easy to ship out. Let's do it. Where do you put the blame in most right now?
It's tough. And in my opinion, if I had to put it on a single person, and I'm not going to try, because obviously all the players are not living up to the back of their player cards. No. So if it's the entire team, it has to go to the architect of the team. And the architect in this case is Billy Epler and his staff. And one of the tweets we put out yesterday was that Billy Epler is like the equivalent of an MLB The Show GM. All right, you're playing franchise mode. Yeah, you see all these guys, they're highly rated players. I'm sure Max Scherzer was probably a 90 overall when the Mets signed him. Verlander was in the 90s when Billy Epler signed him. Yeah, you bring in a couple of pieces here. Sure, you spend as much money as you want. You got an unlimited checkbook to some extent with Cohen. But the problem is he didn't build the team to go ahead and make this rally here, bring in a bunch of older guys. We started to see some regression from some of these players, especially the offense last September. We saw that into October. That's why the Mets weren't able to maintain first place in the NL East last year, because at the worst time, the team fell apart. They weren't scoring runs. They weren't hitting with runners in scoring position. And the big guys you were paying in that rotation, Scherzer and Bassett. And I wish I had Bassett this year. Don't get me wrong. But Scherzer and Bassett at the end of September and early October and the playoffs last year were completely unreliable. And that's what we're seeing this year. There was a clear and evident problem, and Epler went in with the mindset that he assumed, I built a 101-win team. And he's just looking at it from the grand picture. Oh, a 101-win team. We're a guarantee to make it to the playoffs this year. No, you're not. You're at 25% roughly to make the playoffs this year now, and it's only June. That's an absolute disgrace, all right? If one player is struggling, I say this all the time. I feel like every single week I make the same analogy, and I'm going to say it again. If you have one person struggling in your organization, you get rid of that employee. And this applies to not only sports, every organization, every type of industry. You have a bad employee, you get rid of the employee. You have a bad department, you get rid of the department head. But if the entire organization is falling apart, the shareholders are going to be coming for the CEO. And the CEO of this team is the architect, the general manager, Billy Epler. I hate the fact also, Matt said it in the chat, and one of my ESPN Minutes ranted on this last week. There is no accountability whatsoever with this Mets team. And after every loss, you blew a 5-run lead to the Atlanta Braves. You blew a 3-run lead the next night to the Atlanta Braves. You blew it to the Yankees. And all I hear from the guys, and Buck says this too, and I love Buck, but I am sick and tired of hearing, I'm proud of the fight. We were down early. We rallied back. We're putting up runs. I'm proud of the effort. I'm proud of the fight. I'm tired of hearing the word proud with this team because I'm not proud. I'm the opposite of proud. I'm disgusted with this team. There is no accountability, all right? And I'm not saying to go out there and start flipping tables. Granted, I want them to do that, but I know they're not going to do it. But show some accountability. Give me some Terry Collins 2015 where he came out with a stern, angry, not yelling at the top of his lungs, but he was angry. He was saying, this is unacceptable. The players got to play better. They're better than this. And I don't hear any of that. I just hear, I'm proud. We fought. And I'm sick and tired of that, Buck. All right. I'm sick and tired of the whole team. I want to hear something. The only accountability I heard from was Cohen, the game they won against the Yankees last week. At least Steve Cohen tweeted, glad we won, but we got to clean it up. That was the first time I heard any sense of accountability with this Mets team. They are unaccountable, and Frank the Tank might have been the only one right all along. Right now, they are feeble.
Man, I can tell you that Mets clubhouse can use a little Khoury Fav's motivation. God damn, guy.
Yeah.
Well, I can't blame you. I mean, this organization, you're looking at the best payroll, the biggest payroll in all of sports, at least at all in MLB. The Mets got to simply do better. And yeah, I think a lot of the earnest definitely falls on the general manager. And what I get worried about the most here with the Metropolitans, you look at the trade deadline, even the Mets put themselves in a position where it's like, okay, we're definitely going to be buyers now. Can we trust the organization for making up for the poor efforts they put through in last trade deadline in the summer? I don't either.
Nope.
I don't either. I think last year they had a golden opportunity to make some big moves and they swung and missed. So what do you think is going to be the difference maker this year?
And that was where things started to turn last season. Because when you got to the trade deadline last season, the Braves were playing better, but I don't remember the exact games. They were probably still a 5 or 6 game lead in the division, roughly at the deadline. And at that point, you started to see where there were some cracks with the team. We all knew at that point of the season, they were still scoring runs, but without power. And the way they were scoring runs was with a lot of small ball, getting guys on base, taking the extra base, moving them over, sac flies, ground balls to the right side. They were doing all of the little things perfectly. This Mets team is not. They are not executing on that. But last year's team was one of the worst power hitting teams. That was their biggest lack. Everyone called it. They knew what they needed to do. All right, you bring in Vogel back. You're trading for Vogel back, and you gave up an asset. The weakest point of the team last season was the middle relief. And you had a young kid in Colin Holderman, not calling Colin Holderman Mariano Rivera, absolutely not. But he showed a little bit of promise in an area that was weak, the middle relief. You traded an asset to a weak position to marginally improve a weak position. That's not how you build a winning team. Then you look at the Darren Ruff trade. You traded 4 assets, one of which was the best player in the deal in J.D. Davis, to get Darren Ruff. Darren Ruff couldn't hit a baseball if it was the size of a beach ball last year. He was absolutely atrocious. There's a reason why he's played on 5 teams, it seems like, in the last 2 seasons, because the guy is at the tail end of his career and cannot do anything right now. Billy Epler is, in my opinion, one of the worst GMs in baseball right now. What has he done outside of the common sense moves? Yeah, bringing in a Robertson, common sense move. Trying to replace DeGrom with another ace in Verlander. Yeah, that's a common sense move. But he's done nothing to round out this team. And every time he tries to do it, he does it in a way that actually makes a team worse in other aspects.
Guys, I think the reality is also that building these championship teams it does take a true architect. It can't just be done and let's just bring in some of the best players we can and then let's roll the ball out there, especially in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So if Epler's not the guy, you got to get him out. You got to get these contracts off the books, similar to what the Yankees have, and then you have to really build up. If you look at the best teams in baseball, the ones who have been good for the past decade, and you can go further back than that, it's teams that can build from the farm system, sign smart players, and then once you get that window open, that's when you hammer it. That's when you bring in your 2 or 3 big free agents to supplement what you have. It doesn't work the other way around. And the Mets and the Yankees, really, the Mets have spent all this money. They're like, well, let's get these kids up now. What they really should be doing is get these kids up now, and then let them get a year or 2 in, and then bring in the big guys. I know that doesn't play in New York, but that's how you build a championship team. And until either team does that, that's what we're going to get.
I brought up something weeks ago when the Mets had rattled off that 5-game winning streak, and that was when they had all their kids up, their team was healthy. And I had told Joe on the show, I was like, hey, this is every franchise's dream, to have a lineup constructed of 6 players that would be major league starters on any other team, and the 3 other spots are your top prospects.
Yep.
That is a major league team's dream. So when you had that, even before the Alonso injury and now after with Alonso coming back, it's just frustrating to see that this team not put it together. You literally have the dream. You have the dream.
I don't think they had 6 guys that any other team would love to have, though. They have some guys, but the Mets also, again, they had the Vogelbacks out there. They had
Vogelback was not part of that 9 that I had in mind. I was talking strictly your stars: Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo, McNeil, Marte, and Canna. I would say would probably be the 6th, with then your complementary to Alvarez, Beatty, Vientos. That's a dream right there. 6 major league quality players, starters on most teams, and 3 top prospects, and you still can't rattle off what did we just say right here in our 8 of 15. Sorry, 8 of 23 games. That's what they've done.
Yep, and only 3 of those guys were outside acquisitions. Lindor on the massive contract, which granted is not looking like the best of contracts right now. I do love Lindor. He's got to play better. End of story. Starling Marte you brought in. He's actually looked a lot better. Marte is one of the better hitters as of late, so I'll give him that. But that's a guy who's a starter on just about every MLB team, without a doubt. And Mark Canha, listen, Mark Canha is not going to make an all-star game by any stretch of the imagination. But if you have to start Mark Canha in left field for 2 weeks because someone's hurt, you're in very good shape if he's your 4th outfielder. So Mark Canha is a legitimate MLB player.
Correct.
I would agree, though, Rich. I mean, all those guys, 9 of your everyday lineup, or what should be everyday lineup, 6 of the 9 came within your system, 3 of which are your top 6 prospects, one of which the top prospect in baseball when he came up. So it is a good situation, but the team itself, the hitters are not hitting in the clutch. If I see Lindor strike out one more time with a guy on third base and less than 2 outs, I don't know what I'm going to do. You're paying the guy $300 million. He can't hit a sac fly. He can't hit a ground ball to second base. A ground ball to second base ties the game. And what does he do? He strikes out. Nimmo, your best contact hitter against the Braves in that series. Oh, my God. He pops up on the first pitch. McNeil he won a batting title. The guy pops it up on the first pitch. What are we doing? The team itself, whether it's the lineup, the inconsistencies with the rotation. And granted, McGill looked a little better Friday night. It's the Cardinals. I could pitch 5 innings of 2 runs versus the Cardinals. But Scherzer, inconsistent. Verlander, inconsistent. Senga right now is the best pitcher on this team, and he had one bad inning versus the Cardinals. I'm not going to kill the Senga start. And the bullpen, Ottavino is not the same guy he was last year. Robertson's been great, but right now it's Robertson and basically no one else. Yeah, Leone had a good week. So what? One middle reliever had a great week. The rest of the bullpen sucks.
Well, I'll bring this full circle, then we're going to go into our next bit. Thomas, Billy Epler, since Khoury had gone off on Epler, and rightfully so, which general manager in baseball was Billy Epler an apprentice to?
I'm just gonna assume you're. I don't know. I'm just gonna say Cashman, but I don't know.
It is Brian Cashman.
Yep.
And he was part of that organization. So just
with
bringing
the
it back
Yankees,
full
right before
circle.
the Angels.
I was gonna say I was like he didn't come from the Yankees. That's why I was very hesitant to say that. But
he was this professional scouting assistant to the GM with the Yankees. That was his first start here. So there you go. All right, we're gonna move on. And before we get to Chooch's pick of the week, Thomas, let's talk about some YouTube here.
Yeah, so hopefully you're watching us live on YouTube, and if not, you actually can watch replays and clips on our YouTube channel.
Sure can.
Sure can. So head over to Empire State of Baseball on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Again, we have the post-game recaps go up on there. The not the taped episodes, but the formerly live episodes. Again, clips. Watch us live there. It's a great place to get involved with the show. So check us out on YouTube.
The live episodes, there was several taped episodes that are still up there, including one of my favorites, the when we were talking about the City Connects, and the group paired up on these cool jerseys. This is about only a couple episodes ago. We talked about City Connects. I think that was, we're going to go back to episode number 48. So if you want to check out episode 48 for that one, that was a cool one to check out on YouTube. Thanks for that, Thomas. And let's go to Chooch's pick of the week. Chooch not doing good. So similar to our New York teams here. 1-3-1 after amassing a nice record last year. Give him a follow at mtook45, and let's wish Chooch some luck here ahead of his next his next pick here for Chooch's pick of the week. Let's get that video up. Why not?
What's up, ESB crew? Chooch is back with Chooch's pick of the week, and this week we're going to start it off right away tonight. The Mets headed to Houston to face the Astros in a 3-game set. Well, we got a couple of good premier pitching matchups. Tonight we got Scherzer versus Hunter Brown, but tomorrow we got Justin Verlander's return to Houston, and he will be facing off against Framber Valdez. That should be a great game, turn out to be a great series. I think the Mets are going to get back on the winning side. The Mets will take the series. What do you guys got?
So Chooch has got confidence in the New York Metropolitans. Let's also let the fans know that Chooch is a Yankee fan. Khoury, are you rolling with the Chooch?
There is a reason why the Chooch is 1-3-1. It's for picks like this. The Astros sweep the series.
Tom. Yeah. I'm excited to hear I have Framber on my fantasy team, so it's gonna be a nice win, quality start. Get to lock some K's up tomorrow. Astros also been bad, but yeah, give me the Stros.
I feel like you just cursed my Framber start for tomorrow there, Thomas. So
I cursed my own Framber start.
I got 2-1 Astros as well. I actually going to say the Mets are going to pull off the first win in this series. They're going to take that first game, and then from there, it's just going to be all Astros. So that's my bold prediction if I had to get one, but I got the Stros in this one. So, yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on from there. Chooch, good luck. Hopefully, we get you back to 500 at the least, 1-3-1 record. And make sure to give him a follow on Instagram and Twitter at mtook45. And speaking of Twitter, Khoury, what's the best way to give us a follow on the platform?
Yeah, give us a follow at ESB Podcast on Twitter. We started going live on Twitter just a few weeks ago, so if you're watching us there right now, thank you again for tuning in. We also hit 2,000 plus followers prior to our show last Monday, so again, big shout out to everyone. A lot of engagement out there from both the Mets and Yankee fans and general fans of baseball, of course. So love the follows, love the interaction. Hope to keep it going throughout the season. Even if the teams are struggling, we get some amusement out of Twitter. So you can follow us at ESB Podcast. Individually, myself at G Khoury, Joe, who is not here at the moment, at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Mr. Thomas Wospil at T Wospil on Twitter.
Yes, sir. And that's the Twitter handles Thanks for that, man. This is really quiet, man. No Joe going off right now. Obviously, Khoury carried a lot of the steam there, but Tom, do you get disappointed when you don't see Joe on your screen here?
No.
Why did I even ask? All right. But I know you like being Joe's daddy on the show, but there was a lot of dads that we celebrated yesterday for Father's Day. So happy belated Father's Day to all the pops out there, including mine. Shout out to you, Julio. To all the dads out there. Do a great job raising these fine gentlemen that I call co-hosts. So thank you, Mr. Wospil, Mr. Favaloro, for these two fine specimens. All right, the triple play though. We are going to talk Father's Day and baseball. And we're gonna start things off, and we're just finishing a sentence here. And this is a tough one. This one's up for debate. We had the polls going off on Instagram and Twitter. But what is the greatest father-son? Well, I'll set it up for you, Tom. The greatest father-son duo in Major League Baseball history is.
It's a tough one. I'm gonna take the Griffeys. There's some other families that have some potential issues out there. But father son, I'll take the Griffeys. Ken Griffey Sr. is a hell of a player, and Ken Griffey Jr. Granted had some injury issues later in his career, but probably the most exciting player any of us have seen. When he was playing, it was unbelievable. So give me the Griffeys.
Yeah, I think right now. Oh,
The
sorry,
fact
go
that they
ahead.
played with each other as teammates was just awesome.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's one of
That
those
is
things
cool.
you're just not going to see.
No, that's definitely pretty cool. And I gave that some consideration. But right now, it really is a two-team race. It's between the Griffeys or the Bonds, at least in my opinion. Maybe 15, 20 years from now, it's a different conversation with the Guerreros, with the Bichettes. We'll see what happens 20 years from now. But right now, it is a clear two-team race. And I'm going to make it interesting. I'm actually going to go with the Bonds family here. And I know there are some issues, as Tom alluded to, the whole steroid fiasco and whatnot. But at the end of the day, looking at the numbers here, the Bonds family combined for 4,821 hits, which was actually just about 103 less than the Griffey family. But it doesn't matter how many steroids you take. I could be the most juiced up person on the planet. I'm going to be lucky to get one weak ground ball dribbler in the major leagues as a base hit. So I'm going to give the Bonds team, the family, the edge. 1,094 home runs combined between the two of them versus 782 with the Griffeys. RBIs 30-20 versus 2695. I think Bonds, Barry that is, and Griffey Jr. is a very, very interesting debate. And I might actually take Griffey Jr. just to avoid all of the other nonsense that goes along with Barry. But I do think Bonds Sr. What's his name? Bobby Bonds, excuse me. Bobby Bonds over Griffey Sr. is the better player.
Wow, I feel like you guys are setting me up like as if this was a bracket final here, because I would agree it's between those two pairs. But I am also going to ride with Khoury here on the Bonds as well. You mentioned the 1,094 home runs between them. And I can tell you right now, Bobby could have had just an average major league career because he had a pretty above average career, three-time All-Star, voted in the top 30 finish in the MVP voting. I know that's not much, but it also, Gold Gloves in there. So he had a solid career for himself, but he could have had a poor career. And because of Barry's stats were so damn good, I probably still would have went with that duo. So yeah, I'm going with the Bonds here. But yeah, back to the Tom's Griffeys. Again, I don't know. Will we ever see a day where a father and a son step on the same field for a major league team?
I mean, not baseball, but LeBron's sure trying to do it right now in basketball.
Yeah, maybe we'll get lucky some all-star game, BS game. Maybe one of the older fathers steps up to the plate or something. But I don't see it in MLB for at least a long time.
Well, I mean, I felt like the one big one we didn't mention, like how long ago did Vlad Sr. retire? I feel like if Vlad Sr. would have hung on for maybe a bit more, I can't remember exactly when he retired, but him and Vlad Jr., it's funny. Neither of them are combined, and Joe had mentioned it in our YouTube comments. If you look at just the quality of the senior junior, or not, it doesn't have to be senior junior, but the father son, they do have it because they are both. I mean, they are better. They can be better than the weak part of the dads from Griffey and Bonds.
Well,
Yeah.
the Guerreros are actually separated by 8 seasons. Vlad Sr. retired after the 2011
Really?
season. Junior started in 2019.
I feel like
So it's
Vlad
a
was
little.
around
I
longer than
actually thought he played a little deeper in his career
Yeah.
there, Tom. But yeah, they're actually not as close. But still, it definitely warrants the question: will we ever see a senior and junior even just play at the same time? Like, just forget about it on the same team. So what the Griffies did was amazing. So yeah, you didn't get away from Joe that much here. Joe is in our comments on YouTube. Thanks for Joe. Thank you, Joe, for tuning in there. But let's set up though the generational question here. The best active second or third generation baseball player is
Currently active. I'm actually going to go with, and this is a tough one because if you look at the numbers this year, you want to say Bichette, but I'm going to go with the more controversial pick yet again, and I'm going to go with Tatis Jr. I just think when Tatis Jr. isn't cheating and he's healthy,
Well,
he's the most exciting young player in the game. I still think Ohtani is the most exciting overall, but Tatis, I think, is the most exciting of the young players. Now he's playing a little bit more of the outfield. I'm going to give the edge here to Tatis Jr. of the active second generational talents.
I think the answer is Vlad, but I find him so annoying that I don't want to pick him. I'm just gonna say if I'm gonna buy some stock, give me some Bobby Witt Jr. stock as a second generational player. Not on the same level as some of these other guys currently, but give me some Bobby Witt Jr. stock.
I gotta go Vlad Jr. And it does pain me to say it too. He's an annoying one to say the
Oh
least. But
God, he's so annoying.
I do like where this guy is headed. I mean, Vlad. I had the argument a couple years ago on our old shows, Tom, when the MVP race was between Vlad Jr. and Shohei Ohtani. I had Vlad winning that one. I mean, the Vlad led his team to a postseason in a good spot there. Guerrero's just on a great trajectory. You've seen some of the at-bats he's put against high leverage pitchers. He teed off on Garrett Cole last year in a big out. And I remember some of those pitches that he hit. He just hit inside 98 cheese on the inside part of the plate. It's like, this is just a pure power hitter. Guerrero's on quite the trajectory, as Joe mentioned, and I'm saying Guerrero Jr. right now is the best generational talent in Major League Baseball. And we're gonna end this now because this is triple play. So number 3, and it's more of a fun question, but I want to get into some father-son activities, more baseball related. But what is the best father-son baseball activity?
I'll go first. I think it's like, honestly, I'll take the old school having a catch. Having just a good old like having a catch, especially when you're younger and dad will throw it and you're trying to run it down and you're trying to catch it over your shoulder, Willie Mays style. I always just really enjoy that as a good activity. You burn 20 minutes and you're out there winging the ball around. Eventually, maybe you break something and then you have to stop because you hit the house. But give me having a catch.
Yeah, I'm going to go with going to a game as a kid with your father, an MLB game. And one of the games I remember, I didn't go to too many games with my father. My father is not a baseball fan whatsoever. But one of the games I went to, most memorable, he was there. It was actually like a 2 to 3 hour rain delay. God bless him for actually staying there during the rain delay at Shea Stadium, nonetheless, which is not a fun stadium to have that long of a rain delay at. I remember it was a Friday night in 8th grade. Mets were playing, and Cliff Floyd hit a walk-off home run, I believe, in the bottom of the 10th inning, and the Mets won the game. I will always remember that. It was like midnight when he hit that home run. Such a great game. And not even with my father alone, too. One of my great childhood friends, Mike, his father actually had sponsorship deals with WFAN, so I had a lot of Mets tickets at the time because the Mets were on the fan. And I went to a ton of games with him, his brother, and his father, especially in that 06, 07, 08 years, which were great for the Mets outside of the Septembers. So I'm just going to go into a game with your dad.
I'd love to say both. When it comes to going to an actual game, I'd say two specific games. Opening day, of course, opening up the season. Great way to start off the spring, as always. And even like going to All-Timers Day games back in the day. I know, Tom, they remixed the All-Timers Day where they're actually not playing the game anymore, which is unfortunate. They're more just honoring the legends. But something about going there and like going and watching like guys get honored and even play for a little bit that played when my dad was growing up watching baseball and kind of getting that education from your father was cool. But and then to emphasize on having a catch, I lean more towards having a catch. And honestly, through having a catch, like my dad and I would work on like what would make me a better ball player, trying to go through little league and high school. And man, did I suck at baseball. But the memories will last forever. So yes, I gotta say a mix of both. I can't really choose one or the other, but having a catch, that Field of Dreams scene, that kind of sticks out with me as just pure father-son bond. But
And Rich, you could have went with both coaching a softball team.
yeah, if he shows up to games, he's been to a couple of games. Shout out to my father, all the fathers out there. Another happy Father's Day to all that are applicable. So we're gonna get to core curriculum in a little bit, but we were plugging Twitter before, so I guess we got to get into Instagram too. Khoury, what we got on Instagram?
Instagram, follow us at Empire State of Baseball. We're posting our Mets minutes, our River Ave rewinds. We got shorts coming throughout the week, in addition to just other general content. So again, follow us at Empire State of Baseball on Instagram. Myself at Khoury Favs, Joe at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J Rivera, and Tom at T Wospil on Instagram. And check out our post-game recaps. Again, Mets Minute, River Ave Rewind. After just about every game, we're going to give you some good information to go ahead and listen.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And on Instagram last week, we debuted our new weekly bit called the New York Strike Exchange. So if, every Friday, you guys want to check out our exclusive New York baseball player rankings. We do a top 5 best that's our bull market, and our bear market, the top 5 worst players in New York. Check that out on Friday. Shout outs to Clay Holmes for getting the Bull of the Week honors, and Luis Severino for getting the Bear of the Week honors. Severino's look bad, and so he might go back-to-back. Who knows by the end of this week, but find out on Instagram.
It's going to be a real battle for that worst New York baseball player of the week.
It's been a lot easier to determine a Bear of the Week than a Bull of the Week.
There might not be 5.
Yep.
There might not be.
I'll tell you what, most of you who don't have the inside views into how we do those rankings, we were almost identical in our bear rankings. The top 5, we were kind of all over the place between the 4 of us, but we only picked 8 players between the 4 of us for the bottom 5, so we're able to rank them pretty easily. We were on the same page there.
So yeah, go check it out on Instagram every Friday morning. ESP game standings, we just put it up there before. I still have the lead. Poor Joe not even here to try to get on top of the standings and try to catch the leader here. Joe's closing in with 5, and Khoury and Tom here with 3. But this is the perfect game to try to catch up, because in core curriculum, if you get a correct answer, you get a point towards the standings. And so for tonight, of course, we're going to bring Andrew Khoury back here for a 3rd time for core curriculum, and let's get him on. Here he is. What's going on, Joe? How's it going, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Pretty good over here.
Yes, except for your New York baseball team, as is me and Tom over here. It's just not been good baseball to watch for the Mets and Yankees front. A quick comment on the Mets. I always like to hear what you're thinking about your team.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything Khoury said. I would actually double down on it and say the front office issues go back probably for the better part of the last decade. To Tom's point, you build with good drafts and having prospects come up, and we haven't had any prospects come up probably since the back half of Sandy's time as GM, and then Brody trading everyone away. Not that anyone turned into anything. But that, I think that's kind of where it stems from. You don't need to sign some of these over the hill guys when you have guys coming up. And I mean, it just kind of starts there. I also think, for Epler specifically, you have a guy that's willing to write a blank check for pretty much anyone. And, the bullpen has been an issue and said we don't need to spend a single dollar on any relievers that were out there. So, there's a lot going on. And I think a lot of it deals with the management of payroll and management of who the best 26 guys are to put on the Mets uniform.
Yeah, I can't agree with that more. You mentioned that those bullpen pieces, there were some moves they made And the one thing they weren't expecting was the Diaz injury, which has obviously hurt this team in a lot of games where they had won, especially in that Brave series. So we'll see what happens moving forward. I appreciate your comments on it. But this is your time, bud. This is core curriculum. And today you have a special spin on core curriculum. What we got
It's
here
a little
for?
different this time. So where you have a series of pictures of scoreboards from way back when, and it's your guys' job to figure out what year, based on the clues that are on the scoreboard or maybe in the picture, to figure out what year this picture was taken.
We're also, he was of course kind enough to provide the zoomed in version of these pictures. So we do have the scoreboard here, and we're just going to guess the year. Obviously, this has got to be the old Wrigley scoreboard back in the day, considering the Cubs is right there in the home portion. They're playing Brooklyn here.
Yep.
I don't know. Let's see. I mean, just for the sake of throwing these out, I know you have a few of them. Let's go. Let's start with like 1941.
Not 1941.
Okay.
A little bit newer.
1951.
Not 1951.
Give me 53.
That is correct. 1950.
Oh, 53, Thomas, with the point.
Dang.
Very nice. All right, mark one down for
So
Tom.
just to give you what the clues were for that one, if you want to go back to it.
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
you have Brooklyn in there, so the Dodgers weren't quite in LA there at this point in the picture.
Right.
You have Philadelphia, and St. Louis is also on the American League side. St. Louis Browns became the Baltimore Orioles the next year in 1954. The Philadelphia was the Athletics at the time, so they weren't in Oakland yet. The only time Brooklyn, St. Louis Browns, and the Philadelphia Athletics were all physically possible to be in the picture was 1953. And also Milwaukee was the Braves, so it wasn't the Brewers at the time.
There you go. And Khoury, we got a couple more of these. Let's go to the next scoreboard.
Yep.
All right, let's pull this one up. And you can put it on the board. Obviously, we have a southpaw here for the Cincinnati Reds. I'm guessing this is the old Crosley Field.
That is correct.
But obviously, that is
what
not
we got
the,
going on here.
It's a little hard to read the scoreboard, so I can help with that if needed.
Well,
I was gonna say, what are some of the I guess without giving the answer, but what are some of the give a few things, but like what are one of them or two of them or the reason of why we should know what year this is?
Yep. So Washington is on the American League side of the scoreboard, and Seattle is also on the American League side as well.
So I do see this. They are playing the Cards, and the number would signify the pitcher at the time. And I think still there are scoreboards that do that. I would assume Cards 45 is Bob Gibson, with the Reds is number 30. That's Tom Seaver. Would I be correct in that?
Sorry, where? Oh, the guy
Are
in
you
the
looking at a
Jones.
pitching matchup that would be Bob Gibson versus Tom Seaver?
That I'm not sure about. I don't have that in my clues.
Only Tom Seaver's not was Tom Seaver a lefty? No, right? This pitcher's a lefty.
Oh yeah, this guy's a lefty.
Right.
I'm gonna take a guess. You said the Mariners. I know you mentioned out there.
Yeah, that's
Was it the Mariners? Or is it possible for the Mariners to play at the same time the Reds were at Crosley Field?
Oh, you actually said Seattle. Yeah, just said Seattle. You didn't say Mariners.
The Pilots.
1960.
Yeah.
Nope.
Damn.
It feels like a little later than that.
1968, and I'm just shooting a guess.
Nope.
I did look in the chat here, but Joe, I guess we get a host point. He goes 1970.
That is also not correct.
I
have one more hint if you guys want to hear it.
I was gonna say I'll split the difference and say 69.
Tom's correct again.
Oh my god!
My last hint was going to be if you can zoom in on the pitcher's arm, he has a little patch on his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that patch could be physically possible is in 1969 because it was the centennial patch.
Oh, okay.
Centennial patch. Wow. All right. Well, we're gonna have to get a.
And the Seattle team was the Seattle Pilots. So Khoury.
Seattle Pilots.
Yep.
Gotcha. All right. We got 2 more to go on. You can put it on the board. And we got this one here. I guess we've gone digital now on some of these scoreboards. And it's a game between the Orioles. So this is Yankee Stadium.
This
This
is
is
old
Yankee
Yankee.
Stadium prior
old
to the
Yankee Stadium.
Re-renovation Yankee Stadium. 407 to the gap. Who said Yankee Stadium's a hitter's park? That's not even dead center. I don't think, because that's maybe can't tell.
It doesn't look dead center.
No. Yeah. So. All right. So.
1964.
No.
All right. So let's see.
I'm saying it 'cause
Baltimore.
Seven's playing first.
So
and I feel like
Baltimore. They're playing the Orioles.
Mhm.
The Orioles came back in 1954. I want to say. I think that's correct.
Yep.
But this looks a little newer than that. Let's see who else we got out there.
What are you thinking, bud? Corey stumped.
Corey's.
I'm looking at
I'm
Stern playing first
stumped.
base, and that's kind of throwing me off. I feel like that's like towards the end of Mantle's career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mantle. So Mantle retired in 68. So I'm just gonna say 68.
It's 1968.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
I'm 3 for 3 right now.
Tom's
So-
either really good at this or he's cheating. It's one or the other.
So
Well, John,
So you
I'll
guys
give
were-
you the assist to Rich there. I was trying to look through the teams again, but then you said Mantle at first, and Mantle retired in 68.
that was-
so you figured
that was
he's
my
probably
call.
only played
Love this
he probably
year,
only
this
played first.
67.
What, the last
Last year or two.
year or two?
Yep. So he only played
All right.
first in 1970 and 1968, and the only time the Oakland A's were in Oakland was in 1968. That was their first year.
Yeah.
So that
Okay.
narrows that down.
All right, last one here, Core. On you can put it on the board. Yes. All right, what we got?
So this can actually,
Back
I'll
to
take
Crosby.
2 years for this. There's 2 separate years that are acceptable.
2 separate years that are acceptable.
Yeah. So based on, because of the car in the upper right, you can say it's between 2 different years.
I was gonna
Oh,
say
boy.
some things don't change. Different
Advantage
different franchise, but
Joe in the chat.
Houston beating New York just feels correct, even though it's the Mets. So it just hurts to see that. All right. I mean, I feel like these are all better than the 60s. So let's just say 65.
Not 65.
Okay.
66.
66 is an acceptable year.
Let's go.
So Rich
Let's
gets
go.
Rich gets a point. I would have taken
get a point.
66 or 67.
Okay.
All right. There we go. I just had a one up there, Tom. Tom went with 65. I was like, all right, he's not this up there. I'm going 66. I'm gonna steal that real quick. That was awesome though. That was a cool spin on core curriculum, if you ask me. Hopefully we could see more of that. That was a lot of fun there, Core. But you need to tell me. You got to find out if that was a Bob Gibson. I don't know if that was Seaver, but you got to at least confirm that was Bob Gibson on the other side for the Cardinals there.
I'll do you one better. So just to give credit, I got all these pictures from MLB Cathedrals on Twitter. So I think the ASB
Shout
crew
out.
could probably plug the segment with the pictures and ask them themselves.
All right. I like it.
go.
Sounds good. Look at that. Core bartering partnerships over Twitter. We love that. Core, we also love core curriculum. And we appreciate your time as always. We'll see you back here in a few weeks, but hopefully the Mets are in better shape by then.
I hope so. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. Good to have you,
Got
Core.
it. Core curriculum presented by Andrew Khoury. You give him a follow at _core on Instagram and at core_ on Twitter. But Thomas, what's going on over at Twitch?
We're also live there. So we're live on YouTube, but we're also live on Twitch. So if you wouldn't mind, if you don't want to watch us on YouTube, you can download the Twitch app. Subscribe to Empire State of Baseball. The link is in our link tree in both our Instagram and Twitter, and it just gives you another opportunity to support the show and to join in live, especially with these fun trivia segments to fire off your guesses. Get involved with the show, get your comments read on air. Twitch is a great way to do that.
Yep, for
No
sure.
correct answers in our chat, but we do monitor the Twitch and YouTube and Twitter standings. But of course, the original Twitch, give us a follow and download the app. All righty, boys, let's end this one. We did this without Joe, and we're ending it on time. How insane is that?
What?
9 on the nose.
But next week, Joe will return for episode number 51 of ESB. We'll be live Monday, June 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And as always, we wrap this up with some thank yous. Tom, should I just skip you? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, we'll give thanks to dads out there.
Yeah, I like that one.
After Father's Day, so thanks to dads, and yeah, we'll stick with that.
Yeah, thank yous to the fathers out there. We have one father in here, Mr. Tom
Jesus.
Waspil, so thank you to you as well.
Now he's deaf. Jesus.
Sorry about that. We're still working on that. So happy belated
Work harder.
Father's Day to Thomas. First one. So congratulations, bud. Happy Father's Day to you. Happy
Appreciate
Father's Day to Mr. Jack Favaloro. Happy Father's Day to Julio Rivera, Mr. Puglisi, Mr. Joe Sr., and all the fathers and dads out there. We will see you here next time, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and more. We'll see you then. Take care.